I'm going to call together a special Board of Alderman meeting. So I would take a roll call vote from each here, please.
Alderman Hudson.
Here.
Alderman Magley. Here. Alderman Magley.
Yeah.
Alderman Rogers. Alderman Woken. Here. Alderman Woken.
Present.
All right, we have enough for form. If everybody rise for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In your packet are a certification of the election results. Y'all look those over. And when you're ready, I would entertain a motion accepting the certification of election results.
So moved. Second.
First and second of accepting the election results, certified election results. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I would entertain a motion to adjourn, sign, and die.
Make motion to return to sign and die. Second.
Have first and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, I'll ask now, does anybody need a bio break now or at this point after that first meeting? If not, then we can continue right on. We don't need roll call again, do we?
Yes. When you go back into session after adjourn, sign and die, you should recall, but you should actually do the roll call after you swear in the newly elected officials, and then you will, yes, redo the roll call. Because you're starting a new legislative session.
Okay, all right. You're making this challenging tonight.
I try.
All right, that's good.
It's your job.
So we should do the roll call first?
No, you should actually swear in your newly elected officials, and then once you get them sworn in, you will do your roll call.
Okay, so,
Because that's your new body.
Can we move so that she's sworn in first?
Yes.
okay, so I'm recommending that we go to item 4, move it to number 1, and move number 1 to number 3 under swearing in the newly elected officials for the ease of being able to do that. So I would entertain a motion to accept that.
So moved. Second.
First and second to move the agenda as stated. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. That moves us to item 4, election of the city clerk by the Board of Aldermen. Entertain a motion to
Move that we install Tara Strain as the city clerk. Second.
have first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank
Congratulations. Nice job. Now, what moves us up to 2, which is swearing in the newly elected officials. Well, I'm going to swear you in first. Okay, so I'm going to swear Tara in first. Don't have to have any protocol for that, I just do it, right? Okay, got it. So. So, you got to take your repeat it. Oh, you didn't throw off when you do it. I don't have my hand up at all.
Fine.
Okay, you're nervous, aren't you? You need to be nervous. You got the job. You're the you want a landslide. So anyway, please, I guess,
I'm gonna repeat after you.
you repeat after me. That's right. Okay. I feel like I'm getting married.
Not again.
Let's get serious here. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. I, Tara Strain,
I, Tara String,
do solemnly swear that I will support this Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri
and the ordinance of the City of Centralia,
and the ordinances of the City of Centralia,
and that I will faithfully demean myself in the office of City Collector and City Clerk
and that I will faithfully demean myself in the office of City Clerk and City Collector
of said city to the best of my ability,
of said city to the best of my ability,
according to law,
according to law,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Okay. to swearing in of the newly elected officials, which we can all do at one time based upon your guidance, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
So I-
Just make sure you say your own name.
And the right title.
Exactly.
And, yeah. So can they say where they're at and do it, or do they need to?
They just need to raise, right there's.
Okay.
There's no.
All right.
Get your right hand. Hold them up.
Okay. I state your name, please.
I, David
Chris Cox,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri
and the ordinances of the City of Centralia,
and the ordinances of the City of Centralia,
and that I will faithfully demean myself
that I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of, state your office,
in the office of Alderman
of said city to the best of my ability,
of said city to the best of my ability,
according to law, so help me God.
according to law, so help me God.
And then I will need those back after you sign them. I'll let you sign yours. And then I need to- You're gonna sign all of them. Sign all of it. I'm gonna do that
Okay,
I make a motion to elect President of, I'm sorry,
Actually,
Mayor Pro Tem.
Roll call.
now we got to roll.
Now I got to roll.
So we go to one, so I'll carry a roll call, vote, please. Roll call.
Alderman Motley? Here. Alderman Hudson?
Here.
Alderman Wilkins?
Present.
Alderman Stevens?
Here.
Alderman Magley?
Yeah.
Alderman Rogers?
All right, that moves us to item 3 now on the agenda, election of president of the Board of Aldermen, Mayor Pro Tem. Take a motion for,
Make a motion we elect Robert Ellison,
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem. First and second, elect Robert Hudson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem. Robert Hudson. Passes. Now it moves us down to item 5, which is nomination of the committee chairman. I would like to nominate Robert Hudson for general government, public safety. For public works and public utilities would be Robert Hudson. And I would like to nominate Mr. David Wilkins for general government, and public safety. So I would entertain a motion to approve my nominations.
I make a motion to nominate or follow your recommendations for Hudson and Wilkins on those committees.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Do you have to do that separately, two different motions?
No, you can do your committee appointments in a single motion. They're three different board people.
Still streamlined here. So, I believe that for our second meeting takes us through,
Make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes, we are adjourned. Well, that's the same thing I asked 7 minutes ago. Does anybody need a bottle break at this point? If not, we'll continue moving right on. Now, I'm guessing that the roll call is not needed now that we're in a new session.
No, you actually have to because you just adjourned.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Well, we're taking roll. Nobody, don't want to get away from
Good
us.
thing you're here this time, because I don't think we do this every time.
One,
I just enjoy hearing everybody's names.
well, it's okay. I need to practice, doesn't it? It's now 6:40. We're moving into Board of Alderman regular meeting. It is 6:40 and roll call vote. On the roll call, Please, Tara.
Alderman Stevens,
Here.
Alderman Hudson,
Here.
Alderman Motley, still here. Alderman Wilkins,
Present.
Alderman Magley,
Yeah.
Alderman Rogers.
He still hasn't showed up.
He's missed all 3 meetings.
Exactly.
He missed 3 meetings in one night, so.
His three strikes are out.
I'll tell him about that. He may be hoping it is, but that ain't, not right yet. Okay, so anyway, that moves us into item 2, consent agenda, of the minutes of prior meetings. A, from March 8, 2021, March 15th, and March 29, 2021. B, minutes of Public Works and Public Utilities Committee meeting, April 12th, 2021. C, minutes of General Government Public Safety Committee meeting, April 12th, 2021. And D would be reports. The treasurer and collector's reports is 1, and 2 is the activities reports. You can look those over, and I'd entertain a motion to approve all unless otherwise stated.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as published.
Second.
Have a first and second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. That moves us down to item 3, which is accounts payable over $1,250 equaling $1,881,017.57. You'll notice there's a couple of big ticket items in there. Related to the water treatment plant.
I move that we accept the accounts payable over $1,250 for a total of $1,881,017.57.
Second.
I have a first and second, approving the accounts payable of $1,250. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Moves us to here. Item 4, comments from citizens. At this time, we take comments from citizens. State your name and who you are and where you're from, if you would, please.
Linda Borman, 800 Jason Court. The question I have is on the utility bills that we're gonna write off. Are you writing all of these bills off that are on this list?
Unless they have paid since that list was made, so it's possible that they could be different.
Well, I mean, I don't understand why we're writing off bills that are only 2 months old, for one thing, like Forest Chevrolet. Vanessa Ridgels is only a month. She still lives here in town. Sorry, Donnie's not here tonight. One from Michael Rogers. I think some of these bills should be collected.
We do send several notices. It's not like we just say, send one notice and we're done. We send several notices. So we do collect them as we
Well,
can.
but I mean, like the one for Nick Bryson, he's in here how many times a month getting building permits and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't understand why we're not collecting those. I really don't. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't understand it. Now, 2 of the people that are on there I know of in particular has passed away in the last 6 months, so okay, they might not be collected, but there surely is somebody who's handling their estates that could take care of it.
Well, and like I said, some of these could have paid since that was submitted.
Okay, well, I don't agree with writing them off if they still live here in town and are doing business in our town. I think that's a waste of money.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Any other comments from citizens? If not, I'll close the comments from citizens and move to the action agenda on item 5. The first is finance. Number 1, authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to enter into a professional grant administrative services agreement with the Missouri Regional Planning Commission. Anything we need to add to that?
We will not be responsible for paying this unless we get the grant. So the grant writing service is free. This is just the grant administration service if we are awarded the grant. So we won't be paying anything unless we are actually awarded the grant.
Okay.
Move the bill number 2401 be given its first read by title only.
Second.
I have a first and a second for Bill 2401 to be given its first reading. All in favor? All opposed?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to enter into a professional grant writing and administrative services agreement with the Mid-Missouri Regional Planning Commission.
Move the bill number 2401 be given its second read by title only.
Second.
I have a first and a second for the second reading of Bill 2401. All in favor? All opposed? Second reading.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to enter into a professional grant writing and administrative services agreement with the Mid-Missouri Regional Planning Commission.
Move that bill number 2401 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
I have a first and a second for Bill 2401 to be adopted by roll call vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, roll call vote, please, Tara.
Alderman Hudson,
4.
Alderman Motley. Yes. Alderman Magley,
Yeah.
Alderman Stevens,
Yes.
Alderman Wilkins,
4.
Bill number 2401 passes. Ordinance number,
3087.
thank you. That moves us to item 2, which would be authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to enter into a lease purchase agreement for 3 Dodge Durango police vehicles. Bob did confirm that it's $1 when the lease is up to purchase the vehicle, after the lease is finished. Anything other than that?
Move that bill number 2402 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
Have first and second for bill number 2402 to be given its first reading. All in favor? All opposed? First reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to execute a contract with Ally Financial for a lease purchase agreement for 3 Dodge Durango police vehicles.
Move that bill number 2402 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
Have first and second for bill 2402 to be given its second reading. All in favor? All opposed? Second reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to execute a contract with Ally Financial for a lease purchase agreement for 3 Dodge Durangos.
Move that bill number 2402 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
Have first and second that bill 2402 be given the roll call vote. All in favor? All opposed? Tara, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Wilkins,
4.
Alderman Stevens,
Yes.
Alderman Magley,
Yeah.
Alderman Motley. Yes. Alderman Hudson,
4.
Bill number 2402 passes. Ordinance number 3088, is that correct?
3088.
Thank you.
What's an exhibit A that was supposed to be with that? And it's not in the packet, but it did have the, cost for lease purchase on it. It was the same cost that you saw last week.
Same thing? Yeah. Okay.
What was the cost?
For,
$2,330 per vehicle per year.
So
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I think it was 37,000 something
It's,
total.
yeah.
Okay. That moves us to item 3. Utility bill-based debts charged off as of March 31st, 2021.
Can I bring something up here? I mean, I had talked to Heather about this briefly. Have you guys, has the city considered retaining a collection firm to try to collect your debts? There is a law firm in Columbia that I know that people in cities have utilized, who own their own electric, sewer, and water. Faber and Brand is the name of the firm. What they do is they will typically give you a certain amount for the debts you purchase, just like any sort of business. And then they go after and try to collect those debts. So you may get pennies on the dollar for your debt, but you're not writing off the total amount. I had mentioned that to Heather. I don't know if that is something the board would like to consider. I mean,
So in that situation, do you pay when they collect, you get?
no, like let's say for instance, you have $20,000 worth of uncollected debt. They may buy your debt for $5,000 and then
Okay,
they
and
go
they
after, yeah.
make whatever they can on it.
Correct.
by the collection, take the risk.
What is the ordinance on that? Did it used to be if we wrote your debt off, you couldn't get utilities back?
Yeah, like, do these people still have electric? Like,
I mean, is that how that works, or?
Yeah, so, like, if there are people that have current electricity in here, and that we will say, it will get to a point, usually it's not 2 months worth or 3 months worth or whatever, but we will say, if you do not pay this bill, we are going to disconnect your utilities at your current address. And we have done that, and we have added it to their current utility account. Or, you know, we do try to give them the option to make payment arrangements, things like that. But if they come back to town and they owe a bad debt that's over $50, they collect a double deposit, and they cannot get the utilities connected until they pay the bad debt plus the double deposit.
But what about the people who live here in town
Yeah,
That's
that
what
are
I
on
just
this
said.
list?
That's what I just said. We do collect it as we find them. Sometimes it's a little more difficult than other times, but we do, like, if they're on this list and we know they are and they still live in town, we're going to tell them, if you don't pay this, we're going to disconnect you at your current address.
but some of these people that are on this list that I personally know used to live in town and moved out of town, and it shocks me that they're even on here, but,
Yeah.
so how,
Employee,
We don't have any repercussions
Pharmacy,
for those
yeah.
people that pay their
Look at the
list.
second
We don't
page,
report to a
second
collection
bottom.
agency, we don't report to the credit bureau.
let's do them.
I really think we need to look at changing that.
yeah. I
Oh,
agree.
definitely.
I would agree with that.
We never have.
You know, the bottom line is this, 2 or 3 of these people are conducting business in town.
Exactly.
And that's probably the bigger challenge for us, that we probably need to figure out how that, I don't know how you continue to,
You guys aren't built to be a debt collection agency, I mean, the cities aren't, and I mean, it would put a lot of strain on staff, that's why I was suggesting perhaps looking at an outside collection agency where you get to 2 or 3 months and people don't pay. Again, you're not gonna get your full recovery, and I understand that, but then that way, you know,
I mean, this is $10,000. I would rather get 5,000 than nothing.
I agree, if that's what they can give us for it. They're
and
gonna,
like I said,
Probably more like 2 or 3,000.
Well, still, it's better than,
20%, but still, I mean, I agree, and maybe when a few people realize that we're gonna send it to debt collection, there's probably a few people who might pay their bills each year instead of letting it.
because they'll have a direct hit on their credit.
Credit,
They
their
use
credit
it
is
report on
affected.
credit, so I mean, there may be an
Debt collection,
ancillary.
we can
Credit
do that.
bureau.
Right.
Because we have a
Knowing
lot
some of
of
the
really
people on
good
the
debts
list,
that we
and
can
it's a
send.
$100 bill, they should be able to handle it.
Just a thought, I mean,
well, some of these people, I just shake my head, I don't
I mean, some
understand
of these people are
why they're on the
you
list.
can only send so many invoices and make so many phone calls.
Oh, I understand. We're the same
So,
way.
yeah, and it's so
It
frustrating.
does. It gets really frustrating.
Yeah.
But when you've got people like some of these that are conducting business in this office, getting building permits and getting electric hookups for new builds, and we can't collect $97 from them.
What about, on this situation here, why don't we,
I think we should do some research.
just do some research, have you find out about what this debt collection service is? Maybe we can have a further discussion about some of these folks that come in here getting permits and things like that and so forth, that we have a little bit more control over them
And it's
needing
hard to
something.
remember what's on what list when somebody walks in, like, I get
I understand.
that,
but
but.
if you want to, since I have some of the relationships to ease the burden, because Heather's got lots and lots on her plate, I can at least reach out to some of the law firms that I know do this in Columbia to get that.
If you would,
basic
please,
information and
if
then
you do that,
share
get
it
that
out.
to Heather, and then we can
That'd be great.
go from there.
So can we hold off on charging on that?
That would be up to you. I mean, can we retroactively, if we decide to go to that collection agency, we can retroactively send everything that we've written off as a bad debt to.
No, like once you actually write it out, and you can only go back and collect 3 months of bad debt under statute, just so you're aware, that's why you probably see some of these that are pretty quick. In terms of putting a lien on a property, like if the city wanted to reduce an actual utility bill to a lien on a property, which you guys have the power to do. You also have the power to collect from landlords on renters that don't pay. There's a whole bunch of things that you guys consider looking at, but anyway.
Yeah, because I'm sure a couple of these are landlords.
Yeah,
that-
once you actually write it off and forgive it under the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, which is a federal law, it is a forgiven debt, so you can't go back and retroactively collect it.
Good.
So we won't be able to go back to 2020.
No, sir. So if you were to accept this list and write those debts off as listed, any debt listed on there would be forgiven, a forgiven debt.
How are we collecting?
Well, that's benefit of use, that's like, is that what you're talking about, when people move around or keeping old debts and they come back? Yeah, that's under benefit, it's a different category. So
Okay.
you're not actually collecting it under the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act, you're collecting it as an actual utility provider and, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I just gotta make sure.
No, you're not doing anything wrong, I promise you. Well, I'll go
Okay.
ahead and-
Very good. So do we need to table it?
So do we
I
want
move we table this until we have some more
to,
information.
okay.
I second.
I have a
Okay.
first and second to table item 3, utility-based debts charged off as of March 31st, 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll do that, and then you'll help give her some information, and then we can have a sidebar discussion about maybe, you know,
So you can only do 3 months, is that right? So-
Well, if you attach lane, so let's say for instance, you actually wanted to attach a delinquent bill to a piece of property, you can only attach 3 months, but you can do it rolling 3 months. There is, Fayette, for instance, owns its own utility company, and it used to do rolling 3 months on a couple of properties, and that's, you know, after like a year, then I don't quite know, I don't know why you would do that and continuously provide utility services,
No, I
but
think-
that is what they chose to do. That was not,
just while we're having a discussion, what do you estimate what we pay, what we write off, would you think, Heather? I'm not
It's
trying
probably
to-
this amount every year.
Okay, so this is,
This is
What
more
is this amount right now?
10.
It is, one moment,
10,000.
$10,017.28.
okay.
This might actually be a lot over here.
Yeah, see, depending on what it is and who it is, time, as far as productive time we would lose trying to collect and this and that, it may be a better option to turn it over to somebody to get, money that we didn't have. You're gonna check into that, so
Yeah.
I think that's the course to take right now. We tabled it, so if you would, it'd be great.
This person has $1,500. How do you, how does it get that?
Because we have a cold weather rule.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so that moves us to, section 5, item B, which is permits and licensing, there is none. Moves us forward to C, which is legal, and, number 1 is amending the city, Centralia City Code, section 18-33 concerning speed limits on several streets in the city of Centralia, Missouri. It'd be an ordinance.
I move that bill number 2403 be given its first read by title only.
Second.
I have a first and second for bill number 2043 to be given its first reading. All in favor? All opposed?
An ordinance to amend Centralia City Code, section 18-33 concerning speed limits to lower the speed limit on several streets in the city of Centralia, Missouri. That actually should say raise.
Right.
We need to table this
Yeah,
one.
we need to,
You can just read it as amended, she's just.
As amended,
You're
I'm
gonna
gonna-
have to pass it as amended with the term raise, because it's just the title that doesn't necessarily going to affect the legality of the body of the rest of the ordinance.
okay, I move that bill number 2403 be given its second reading as amended by title only.
An ordinance to amend Centralia City Code, section 18-33 concerning speed limits to raise the speed limit on several streets in the city of Centralia, Missouri.
I move that bill number 2403 be adopted, as amended, be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
I have a first and second for 2403 to be given a roll call vote. All in favor? All opposed? Roll call vote, please, pass.
Alderman Hudson,
Four.
Alderman Motley. Yes. Alderman Magley,
Yeah.
Alderman Stevens,
Yes.
Alderman Wilkins.
4.
Bill number 2403 passes, ordinance number 3089, correct? All right, thanks. That moves us to item 2, accepting the bid of Christensen Construction for asphalt. Asphalt. That'll be on that. That'll be-
This is just bloopers highlight, everybody, this is just,
Let me slow down a second. I'm not embarrassed, trust me, but that's by far okay for me. Accepting the bid of Christensen Construction for asphalt overlay project 2021.
Move that bill number 2404 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
I have a first and second for Bill 2404 to be given its first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
An ordinance accepting the bid of Christensen Construction Company of Kingdom City, Missouri relating to installation of asphalt overlays and other improvements on several city streets of the city of Centralia, Missouri, and directing the city administrator and/or the director of public works and utilities of the city of Centralia, Missouri, to secure such assurances and documents necessary and to supervise the work described in the bid.
Move that bill number 2404 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
I have a first and second for bill number 2404 be given its second reading. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
An ordinance accepting the bid of Christensen Construction Company of Kingdom City, Missouri relating to installation of asphalt overlays and other improvements on several city streets of the city of Centralia, Missouri, and directing the city administrator and/or the director of public works and public utilities of Centralia, Missouri, to secure such assurances and documents necessary and to supervise the work described in the bid.
Move that bill number 2404 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
I have first and second for bill number 2404 to be adopted by roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Roll call vote, please, Terry. Pass.
Alderman Hudson,
Four.
Alderman Motley. Four. Alderman Magley,
Four.
Alderman Stevens,
Or,
Alderman Wilkins.
4.
Bill number 2404 passes. Ordinance number.
3090.
Thank you. That moves us to item B, the action agenda, declaring 4 police vehicles surplus property. This is the 4, for the 3 that we talked about, the chief.
Which 4 are they? 'Cause there's no information here. Oh.
Yeah,
We have vehicle 831, a 2011 Ford Crown Vic. We have vehicle 834, a 2013 Ford Interceptor, 835, a 2012 Dodge Charger, and 837, a 2011 Ford.
Move we declare them as surplus property.
Second.
first and second, declaring 4 police vehicles as stated as surplus property. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
Bob, do those just get put on that surplus sale thing?
I don't know if we're gonna do gov deals or what we're gonna do.
We'll probably do gun deals.
That's what I'm at. I'm just curious. Not that I'm buying another vehicle. I got 4 now, that's enough.
More than welcome to bid on,
No way.
what you want.
No.
That moves us to item 6, old business. Is there any old business to be discussed?
Did you talk about with Sydney about the electrical thing?
Oh, I did, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. The, nuisance, disconnect, and we would not be liable, or I believe that's was her, what she told me.
So if their TV, their smart TV blows up in their house because
You're
they're
gonna
being
provide,
shut off every 15 minutes.
you're gonna provide notice of what's gonna happen. So Heather and I talked about, you're gonna publish, about the nuisance, I'll call it nuisance disconnect or whatever you wanna call it, the temporary outages. You'll put on your website, what the program is. I suggest some bill inserts, just explaining to your customers what this is going to be, giving some time, so maybe starting this in the fall versus starting it now, so that your, citizens become aware of it. When they sign, anybody that signs up for new utilities, I suggest making sure they get a copy of this so that they understand it. The city does keep a list of, people that are on oxygen or any sort of medical equipment that need continuous electric service. Obviously, those individuals would be excluded from what we would call the nuisance or temporary shut-offs. But, as far as I'm aware, I tell this to anybody can sue anyone for anything. Like, I cannot guarantee that somebody would not sue the city for their TV being blown, but by providing, ample notice, hey, this is what we plan on doing, you need to prepare your house and, before the shut-off, let them know that this may be coming, they need to take their own precautions.
The only thing that bothers me about the whole thing is, what if somebody has a respiratory problem, they don't have the thing, and then they get on a machine, and then that compromises their health, and they haven't notified us, and then we shut their electricity on and off. I mean, that's where I see, my biggest concern is in that situation where there could be a health risk that we're unaware of, and you know how that is. I mean, I just don't know, I'm asking you your thoughts on it.
And again, the notice should say that if you have a health risk that requires
You must notify us.
You need to let us know, and so, that needs to be, again, on the website, it needs to be going out in bill inserts so that people understand it, it needs to be part, again, new customers, as they come starting to sign up, and it's, maybe you need to ask a question at that time and make sure you update the city. You give, is it a 24-hour disconnect notice before you actually disconnect and you do this? Or is it
so-
72?
No, well, we print it right now on our utility bills. If anybody has e-bills, we did this month, send a notice whenever they receive a penalty, which we changed the code that says that we do not have to do that, so that was just an extra thing that we are able to do if they are an e-bill customer. But if it is going to be, if it is cold and we do not disconnect, we put a notice on the front door, like a very, very bright color paper, pink or yellow or orange or something like that. So we could absolutely put this notice on the door to say that this is what's going to happen if you do not pay by,
24 hours.
yeah, within 24 hours.
So, if you have all of that, you have, in my opinion, limited your liability as best you can. At some point, people have to start taking some responsibility for their own actions. They should, hopefully, unplug the TV or unplug the microwave or, something that they don't consistently use. So, at that point, like I said, I think you have done enough to alert your customers and has limited yourself to exposure as best you can.
Find out any other cities actually doing this?
I have not talked to any other cities yet, no, they actually.
What about the meters and stuff, is that hard on them?
This is coming from the company that actually provides the meters to us, so we can ask them a specific question.
Probably
But
should.
it is a function that we knew that going into this, that those meters were capable of, the system's capable of.
Probably should ask that question because, you get these cars now and they shut off and on. Every time you stop, you can't tell me you're not gonna have to replace that starter.
I would
I
say
agree.
it's fairly new, and they may not know, they may
So-
not have an answer about that.
So just,
But
it's
I'll-
worth asking
well,
the
we'll
question, is what I'm
ask.
saying.
Absolutely.
I think it's worth asking that question,
Yeah.
and finding out probably from somebody that's doing it, they could tell us, give us a couple of cities that are doing this and how that's gone. What things challenged them that they didn't think about, that kind of thing, kind of get their feedback. What's went well with it? What kind of response have they seen from doing this as far as people
And
paying?
does it shorten the life of the meter, shutting it off
Well, that's
all
what,
the
that's
time?
what she's gonna ask too, is
Yeah,
from
we
the
can-
supplier, for the product. But just talking to other cities that have adopted this and have done it, to see what kind of benefit it has been, what maybe was a surprise, an aha for them, that kind of thing. That makes sense.
I just had a thought, it's not about this, it's about the write-off list. Do we publish that other than these notes anywhere?
No.
No, we don't wanna embarrass anybody.
Legally, you can. So
I was
you
just
can either provide an address, location, and the debt, but you can't provide the name attached with the address. So, yeah, you can't do that.
Okay. Any other old business?
About the burn ordinance.
I still have that on my desk, it's actually sitting there, there are a lot of things to go into it, I've talked to Chris about it several times. I'd really like some direction, what do you guys want to see in that ordinance, what would you not want to see? There are a lot of variables and a lot of scenarios that we can consider. It's a little overwhelming, to be honest, with all of the different things, so, are we looking at a burn ban for a certain time of day or a certain time frame? You can only burn one certain day a week, or are we looking more of a permitted burn, so where they have to come and get a permit for it?
A permit, so if you move it to a Saturday burn, and say I wanna burn, and I can't make it up here by 5 o'clock on Friday to get my permit, how am I gonna burn?
Right.
Well,
It adds a lot of restrictions.
I don't think
The-
you should do
the
permits.
concern is, we also wanna look at anything that we do, naturally, we wanna do what's right by the majority of the people in town, right? But at the same time, we wanna make sure we're not taking on a bunch of extra non-productive work and labor for us in the offices.
Well, that's the thing, if we tell the burning,
And then you gotta
they're
remember
gonna haul it out there, and it's gonna cost the taxpayers more for the employees to haul it out to the brush pile to get rid of it.
Well, and I think another thing that we have to think about is, we learned that pay at the pump or prepay, that we get emotional when people come in here, but truly, how many people have been complaining complaining about the burning. I mean, the biggest problem I think we've heard is people say it's offensive, other than leaves burning or sticks, wood burning, natural stuff. It's some of these obnoxious odors and things that aren't supposed to be being burned, and we have an ordinance in place for us to be able to enforce that, right? I mean, today.
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Sure.
there is an ordinance in place for burning, and it's complaint driven, just like anything else. Much of my job is complaint driven. Somebody calls us and says, hey, this stuff is blowing in my windows and this and that. We can enforce that.
Sure.
So why are we reinventing the wheel to put something else in place?
I'm not saying we should,
No, I understand that.
No.
But the fact is, they have to call us and say, hey, this is irritating to me. Okay, so now I have a complaint,
And I mean,
and now I can respond
and
and
if
say, hey, put your fire
if
out.
somebody's burning shingles or
Right, and that's,
that kind of stuff, you can
no,
go
we're
on there.
gonna go look at that anyway.
And I'm saying, we smell it, right? I've seen it,
Right.
and you know it's not somebody burning leaves or burning some sticks in the ditch, And I'm just concerned if we get to trying to over-police or over-protect a few at the expense of the majority, we're losing our mind here, okay?
Now, like I said, the burn ordinance is in place, and they just have to call us and say, hey, I need something done. Okay, not a problem. So, I mean, it's already there.
Right. Well, it's just on Saturday, you can't even drive through town because you can't see it, it's all snow. But anyway, that may be a little exaggeration, but I'm just saying, I think that, so I'm just saying, I'm saying let's step back and think about how much complaints have we had. I've had far more complaints about speed limits and pay at the pump than I have ever since we started talking about the burning thing. So I'm just saying maybe we should think about just enforcing what we have, and we don't have to be rear ends about it, or as I said, asphalts about it. But if somebody's blatantly burning some stuff and they do it again, they get a ticket. I mean, first time I didn't know, ignorance of the law, no excuse, but in town, we try to be good neighbors too, but at the same time, that happens again, you give them a fine, an ordinance violation, a fine.
And that's fine, because the fact is, it's spelled out very clearly in the ordinance as to what you can burn and what you can't. I mean, it's very clear.
No construction equipment, nothing like that.
No construction,
Debris.
shingles, tires.
So at this time, I would ask this question, is there, I would take a recommendation of what we feel we should be doing moving forward at this point, if anything.
Is there a burning desire to pass this ordinance?
No pun intended.
Yeah, so.
I'll write your own material.
The burning desire is to at least make.
We love it, but you gotta keep your day job.
Move on, whatever that is.
I would say we leave it like it is.
Yeah.
Just enforce it.
And
Yeah.
Well, let people know, maybe.
maybe make
reiterate.
a post about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, let them know that they have to call us, so, because, somebody burning leaves and they're irritating you. Okay, well,
Well, I mean, and
Well, and that's a catch too, because the wind may have been blowing the other way, and
When
all
they
of a
started.
sudden it's switched, and now it's blowing in somebody's window they don't like. Well,
exactly.
I'm sorry about that.
agreed.
That's Mother Nature.
Well, I think common sense has to prevail too, right? And we have to allow and trust that you guys can use common sense when you assess the situation, if you're the ones having to go to enforce the ordinance, right? So I have complete trust in that happening, and I just think that we've heard it, we've listened to it, we've kicked it around. I think it's time to be done with it one way or the other. And that's why you brought it up, and I appreciate it, because there are people gonna wanna know. And they will probably be a few people disenchanted, but probably we'd have a couple of hundred that would be frustrated when it comes in the fall or whatever, they wanna burn some leaves or this or that by the ordinance that exists
In their
today.
backyard.
Yeah, it just creates, I think, a lot more to have to manage.
And if we limit the days, you got people who
Well, you gotta,
work
yeah.
on the weekends, or
Yeah.
they're not home on Tuesday
I mean-
afternoons, or
Or it's raining, or
raining.
snowing.
And you can have all
Snow
kinds
tomorrow.
of ordinances, that doesn't mean you have good common sense everywhere, right, with the people that are supposed to be going by, so that's for us to deal with. So, if what I'm hearing collectively as a group, and I'm not trying to, but I'm saying, it's time we get close to the chickens thing, you know, I'm ready for this, the burning to be done at this point, so.
Hey, this one didn't take as long as that.
No, I agree, yeah.
Can we talk about?
Oh, you wait for your time, you were
We talked
spared,
about chickens for a long time.
so.
Because you're limiting the number.
What's
of
the,
chickens we get.
where are we at on,
So let's close this just a second. So, do we all agree that we're not gonna make any forward action at this point? We're gonna stay with the ordinance the way it was in our discussion today about old business and just support the fact that re-educate and enforce where needed. I'd say, Bob, if somebody for a second time is burning something that they know they shouldn't be burning, they get a ticket. And that's not hard to argue. I mean, let them come argue with the city hall or me as the mayor or whoever in that council, folks. It's an easy discussion to have. Were you not warned once? Yes. And you were burning again? Yes. Okay. Tell me what the issue is here. I don't understand. I may never be able to understand. So being said, you know, man. So I think it's that simple. So we close that. We all agree. Absolutely.
now are we at with the sidewalks with like new construction, people buying empty lots?
Mike is on it. He's actually talked to several people. Are you talking about Southwest Country and Columbia Street?
Yeah, and there's some other places around town too.
He's been talking to them, and some of them had asked for extensions, but he has actually talked to several of the contractors that they're using, and they're just backed up and behind, and so that they do have it planned in on their schedule.
Cause like on Columbia Street, there's no sidewalk there from the school to the first house and then between the two
The school,
houses.
is it,
Oh, you
it's
mean
not the
after
school.
CIS?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Heading south.
Heading south.
But is there anything on that, because that vacant lot is the school's lot.
Yeah, there's nothing on that vacant lot.
Well, there is a
we talked to
sidewalk.
Scott.
There's a
On the
sidewalk.
vacant lot?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's a
For the-
sidewalk
for the
ran,
school
at least
there
it's
is,
on.
yeah.
The
That was the
sidewalk
sidewalk.
runs all the way to the end of the school's property.
Yeah.
Okay, then after the school property,
Right.
there's 3 or 4 places in there that does not.
There's a, I
Yeah,
think,
I know that he has talked to those people.
there's a lot, there's another lot, there's two at least that I know of.
There was
for
one
sure.
that was, at least one in there that I know he's talked to that, they were
Yeah,
not-
what he told me last year was that they both had to get with their banks in order to get the money or to rechange their loans or whatever, but the one's getting ready to build something right now, so I'm assuming if he's gonna build an extra garage or whatever, that sidewalk will be put in at that point.
Right.
The post today got shared and got some interesting comments.
Yes,
How
it is.
close is that?
About the sidewalk,
About
keeping your
sidewalks.
sidewalks clear.
Clean
Without
your
grass.
sidewalks, there's lots of grass on the sidewalks.
And then the city, if the homeowner requests, the city will help with the cost to replace.
Mhm.
Is there some, I was just to say, is there maybe some key properties that we could maybe approach people on, like, I don't know, the mansion, with the sloped sidewalk in front of it?
Well, the city was going to put that in and
And maybe if we don't spend our money, because I thought the post said we don't spend our money each year, could we maybe pick some
We really
high traffic
should.
areas
We
and
really
start
should.
spending some of that money on?
Cause what, we pay for the concrete, is that right?
We pay for the removal, right?
We do the removal ourselves,
And all the homeowners got paid for the labor and the
Really?
chair, and
Yeah.
the floorboards, right?
right?
That's what I
Mhm.
thought.
Yeah, we pay for the material up to $1,250, the concrete, so.
Well, the sidewalks to me go right along with the streets, right? We're trying to get the streets caught up and anywhere we can
Right.
to help, you know.
Right, but some of the comments are,
Oh, yeah, well, no, the comments I seen them,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you
they're
know,
pretty heated.
tell me,
Yeah.
tell me,
and
and I think the
Hey,
response was
you
good.
know the positive of that, people are engaging with our Facebook page.
yeah.
We are
I
gonna be
haven't
trending
looked
with
at it,
this.
so I don't know.
They're
And
looking
maybe
at
if we
it.
don't spend our money in a given year, we
Right.
could use that money to hit some high traffic areas.
Sure. We
And
should,
the
we
city
don't,
should foot the bill, just to
Out
get
of
that
that
done.
budget.
right.
There you go. I mean, I think that's great. We all keep an eye on it as the budget flows, and that we can get some of that work done. It makes sense to do it, right?
I agree.
So, it's good.
I will say though, it's really expensive if you live on a corner and you want to replace the sidewalk.
Sure is.
You got 10 sidewalks.
I do, and I checked into how much it's gonna cost me to replace them.
Well, especially the way concrete is now.
So concrete's expensive.
Yeah.
Well, I did mine last year.
I don't want anyone getting injured either
Oh,
from my
that's good.
house.
So what she's saying is she'd like to be a part of that budget.
So,
Definitely not saying that.
I'm
if
just
somebody
kidding.
gets injured, who's at fault?
Oh, good heavens to murder trade, it falls on the property owner more than likely. I mean, it depends on, I mean, you have to look at the deed, but most city sidewalks under RSMO 88 are the responsibility of the property owner. It's your responsibility to clean them off, it's your responsibility to maintain them. So if somebody falls, generally it falls in your homeowner's insurance.
But those in front of the old Chance House, whatever it's called now, those were put in by a city contract and it was faulty work, and so they closed. So I don't know who becomes responsible at that point.
All right. Any other old business at this point? If not, we'll move on to item 7, which is new business. A is the mayor. The only thing I had was I got an email from Susan Jackson, and she's referencing that she's discovered on North Columbia Bar and Hickman Streets that they don't have any speed limit signs. They're having problems with people driving 90 to nothing and so forth. So she sent this email, basically that's what it talks about, wanted me to bring it up. She can't attend the council meeting, so wanted me to bring it up. So as new business, I forgot that earlier, so I apologize, but I should probably have the public,
You said on Columbia, what?
She's got on here, North Columbia Bar and Hickman Streets,
Okay.
do not have speed limit signs, and I think that we usually have signs on those streets, don't we? For the most part, or not?
It actually just says.
Or not.
25
minutes.
So that's
Otherwise.
so that's what it is, okay,
I
got
think
it.
she's had an issue though there with people coming out of that parking lot. She manages the apartments, the
She
two-story
used to.
apartments.
She used to.
And, oh, she used to, oh, okay. Well, she complained quite a few times about people just really speeding heavily over there, so.
Yeah, I think, in observing, what's going on, I think, it's kind of interesting, like out there, our mobile trailer.
I'll get to that, that's funny, right?
Okay, good, that'd be great. I'd like to touch it, kind of interesting, but it's a really good tool for us because, it'll be good for Bob to tell us about that. Very interesting, some of the report that he had today, so, I don't really have anything other than that, in new business for me, other than we're working on, that block grant, which is exciting.
Yeah.
For the stormwater on Jefferson and so forth, maybe even going west, tying west, Chance Road into that, opening the restricted, culverting up, open, to get that water away from the south side of town over there. So, that's all I got. City Administrator?
Right. Yeah, my report's in the packet. If you have any questions, let me know. I spent a lot of the month working on the budget. I'm finishing up things for the budget. And I think I told my staff about 700 times, I'm working on the budget today. And they were probably tired of hearing that. Thank goodness it's done. And I do have copies. The final copy's out online, but I have a couple printed copies if anybody wants one. Okay, that's one for you.
Thanks.
That's all I have.
Okay. Moves us to see the city attorney. Do you have anything for us
Yeah,
today?
you can see some of the stuff I met with Heather, March 15th to discuss the North Point subdivision, to discuss kind of who owns Hickman Street and kind of where that goes, although I'm hoping that some of that issue kind of alleviates itself with a possible voluntary annexation coming into the city. It won't alleviate it entirely, but it should resolve most of that. I'm keeping an eye on, obviously, the federal guidance on the new funds, I'm not sure exactly, it's not ARA funds, but the funds overlaid from the COVID bill that came out this last round, where you guys will be getting a payment from the state. It will come in it'll come in two payments. One will come this year, one will come next year, and you have until December 31st of 2024 to expend those funds. There are 4 buckets or categories that you can spend money out of, but there's a pretty, wide usage of what you can do. They still haven't, and at least I haven't seen it yet. I do try to monitor it. Final guidance from the Department of the Treasury on exactly how cities are going to be able to spend that and exactly the reporting requirements for it. But that should be coming in the next 2 weeks. So it should be.
There is something, there was a PowerPoint that I from the National League of Cities, but it still doesn't say
Yeah, like
exactly.
You've
what
got
you
four
have-
broad
what you
buckets.
can
Yeah,
do.
one of them is like premium payments for employees that were employed during the pandemic, so from December 31st, 2020, obviously back. You've got recovery for economic development, you've got sewer and
Mhm.
water and sewer, that's specific, and, I'm missing the fourth category.
Broadband.
Yeah, internet service, if you're gonna expand it, but like, what does, water and sewer mean specifically? What does it mean if you're wanting to do economic development? What does that look like? What sort of project does that mean you can undertake? So the Department of Treasury is supposed to get cities better guidance, so as soon as that comes along, probably Heather and I will get it at roughly the same time, we're in the same groups, but we'll pass that along to the board so you have better direction.
We proactively, Heather contacted me when I was in Houston last week and was talking about the monies that were coming out, and she was wondering if I would help get us in touch with the county commission in case they have monies that they have to share out in the community for sewer and water and that kind of thing with the projects and things we got going on to help take some of our cost out of the block grant. So we did that, and you reached out
I
to
reached
them,
out to them.
and so they're in the know. We're on the list already, early and
We're at the front of the line.
front of the line for if that happens to fall through. They actually don't try to keep all of it, but if there's money that they got dispersed, they probably have a chance to get some of it, so.
Our thoughts were that, the reason that our costs were so much higher than the, engineer's estimates on the wastewater project was because of COVID, because prices have skyrocketed. And so we were hoping that maybe some of that money could be
Earmarked for our project.
earmarked for our project to help cover those overage costs, because we're still sitting at a deadline with DNR. They're not gonna, they may change the deadline, I don't know, but so far they have not.
Anything else? She will be attending the next couple of months
Oh, via Zoom, yeah,
via Zoom. She's having a procedure done.
I won't be able to drive at night, so.
Just so everybody knows, she'll be joining us by Zoom.
Maybe.
Put heads up. That moves us to D, the city clerk,
Actually,
the newly appointed city clerk.
So the MML always puts on elected officials training every year. You don't have to be a new elected official, so they are having it again this year. It's June 10th through the 11th. There is a virtual option and an in-person option. So the city would pay for you to go to that. It is really good information. You really learn a lot. It's very informative. It's not a waste of time. So if any of you decide that you want to do that, please let me know. I will get you signed up for that.
Where's that at?
Columbia, the Holiday Inn in Columbia, so it's not too far away. Yeah.
In person's pretty good too. I mean, I think you get a little more out of it, but that's
And
just
they
my.
have good food.
It's always a plus. Probably be a little bit different with, COVID regulations still, and it is Columbia, so, they're a little strict about, wearing masks and all. And then it's a little bit further down the road, but the annual conference for MML is in September, so keep that on your radar if that is something that you're interested in going to. Also, very good training.
And it will be in person versus virtual,
Yes.
because virtual was a waste of time last year.
And where is it at?
It's in St. Louis this year.
City, I wanted to.
What's at Union, is it at Union
It's
Station?
at Union Station in St. Louis this year.
How many days is that?
That's September 26th to the 29th.
It's really, you got a plethora of opportunity for continuing credits and so forth with education, and a lot of variety of topics. It was very advantageous to go, a lot of value in person. The other was much more challenging. It's hard to take anything away from it, so.
Yeah, I didn't get anything.
Okay, anything else?
Oh, no. Waiting for him to say I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
As they arrive.
As they arrive. You definitely went somewhere else, okay?
I'm not ready to go.
You have been right since the asphalt comment. So, I apologize for that.
Fine.
So anyway, we go to 8, as may arise.
I need a little guidance. or I have a question for you all. This radar trailer gives us information like you wouldn't believe. The latest information, let me just give you that. I pulled a report from Gano Chance the other day. 21,000 and some cars. And that was just last month, a week ago today, till Friday at about 11 o'clock. 21,000 and some cars, I don't remember the exact number. What the most impressive part was, I now found the highest speed problem we have.
The land
The
grant.
71 wasn't anything. 105 one way, 106 the other.
Oh,
What?
got to be
Are you
kidding.
sure?
On
It's not
chance?
On
Mr.
Gano
Shear or
Chance.
something?
Yeah, on the east, it was on the
Yeah,
east.
because, well, no, it's actually on the west side.
In front of those
In
houses?
between the railroad tracks and Jefferson.
At what
Yeah.
time?
You what?
At what time?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that one exactly.
Oh,
It gave me,
it
it
don't
gives,
give
it
you a
gave
time?
me a,
That's what,
it gave me a time frame.
though.
Okay,
What
it gave me a
time is
time
this?
It's really,
frame.
it's like a little crotch rocket or
So,
something.
well, and I believe it was a motorcycle. There's a guy, I kinda have a tendency to guess it was probably him. I won't mention names. But, yeah, 67% of the people on Gano Chance were speeding.
What?
Out of that 21,000 and some cars, 67% of them. Now,
When you say
grossly speeding,
what are you drawing the line?
10 or over. Okay, well, they were speeding, it measures anything between up to like 9 over. Officer would know for stopping by at least 9 over, maybe 10. I was very quite surprised. I really was.
Yeah.
Was it helpful?
No, that's just a
I
moment.
learned 8 your great, 9 your mind.
There you go.
I always heard 10.
I thought it was
It just
7.
depends on what kind of day I have.
I can set my cruise up a little bit higher now.
You answer a question for me. Do you want to see these reports? If you do, it's not a problem to email them to you. I mean, because
I'd like
like I
to
said, it's
see
just
Yeah,
interesting
they're
information.
very, you
Or
find
I'll
It makes me
attach
wanna
it,
go sit in a cop car and pull people
or
over.
I'll attach it to my monthly report, which is
Yeah.
fine. Because like, let's see, it's sitting in its fifth different spot right now. I had to pull it early off of Miles. Miles wasn't bad.
That's surprising.
I think the highest one I had was 48. There was only 2.
But you didn't get it during
Right.
baseball practice
Well, it was
either.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I had to pull it early because Blue Electric Community Trust came up and did a photo op thing today, and they wanted the radar trailer. So okay,
You gotta do.
you gave me $9,000.
Yeah.
We'll do a picture. Now it's sitting over on Jefferson, right across from the end of Sneed, in the 20 mile or something. And I have no idea what I'll see there. I'm just curious, kind of thing. Do you want to see these things, or do you want me to just email them or attach them to my monthly report? It's up to you. I don't care. You all are set up as a group.
I like seeing them.
Okay.
So if you email them out to the group,
Yeah.
they can do it, delete it, or delegate.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
mean,
And that's fine.
You know,
I don't have a problem.
I
with
found
that.
it quite interesting.
I've got a couple of them right now. I've got the Gano Chance one. Like I said, I got the Miles Street one.
I have a
That's the
theory,
most
Bill,
interesting.
on
You have a theory?
106 mile an hour.
Yes, sir.
He's
Increasing.
Yeah. he's
5
able to
was
tell
the
his officer,
slowest.
this
Yeah.
is the time
So I
of
think what that
day
was,
this area more.
that was the rocket staging before it took off. It became 106 mile an hour. So I think that's what happened. I don't know.
I am quite surprised at the amount of traffic that comes through town.
21,000.
Gano Chance, 21,000.
In about 4.5 days, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then when you did
But that's a lot of the
Jefferson
school
Street,
traffic and.
Yeah.
and when you did Jefferson Street, it was something like that too, or about the same amount
Yeah, it
at
was
the time.
22,000.
That's what I'm saying, they close, right? I mean,
I want you to add Adams Street on that list.
Can I put it in your front yard?
Yeah,
Okay. See, I don't want to put it on the street.
cause
Because-
they're
Adams is
wide.
Because one of the guys from the trust today said something about getting it smacked and everything else. I said, well, I try and put it off the street because of that reason.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
of that reason. We don't want to turn in $9,000 to the insurance company, say I want to. Especially the insurance company. So like I said, and that's fine. I can email them to you.
yeah,
It's not a problem. That's easy enough.
that'd be great.
I'm trying to keep it out 5 to 7 days, depending on what happens. Like right now, the battery's doing really, really well. The sun's keeping it charged, 100% charged. It's pretty amazing to me. I haven't had to put on a battery charger at all. It's really cool. So, That settles that for me. Now, the second thing, I've got an invite for you. Each and every one of you also around this table.
I'm aggravated.
Yeah,
You're aggravated?
the mayor already knows about this, and he ain't gonna be in town. May 11th, the Murma reps and I have talked a lot lately. It's all good stuff. They have a shooting simulator, we're bringing it up here May 11th. For about 2 o'clock in the afternoon till 7, 8 o'clock
What
at night.
simulator? I used to do that once a month.
It's a shooting simulator. You have screens around you, it gives you a scenario, you have a gun, laser gun, shoot, no shoot
Don't bring your own.
thing. He suggested that anyone, city official wise, to go through, just because that way you know what we're looking at. I will be honest with you, it's like a huge video game.
You can't see the smile on my face.
It's a huge, oh, I knew you'd be there. I knew you'd be all about it. He'll be back for more.
How many times?
Yeah. So he, like I said, he's bringing it up on May 11th. That's the day after Public Safety next month. So I will remind you again on Public Safety
Can you
Day.
send an email out on that?
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
I think one of the
And
things.
no, you can't have a shotgun.
You cannot bring your own.
It said it's BYOG, bring your own gun.
I got a question for
I
you.
think one thing it'll do, Bob, I think that it'll
Okay,
help,
let me finish meeting.
it'll help people understand in the moment what the police have to deal with and the decisions you have to make in a split second. I mean, you see it on the news all the time, but policing is very difficult. And it's becoming more difficult all the time, looks like to me, without question. And, I think it'd be interesting to be in that spot to decide, to make a split decision of, is this friend, foe, you know, and I think that's similar, it shows that, I think, pretty well, probably from a.
I've already told James he can come and take pictures if he wanted to, and participate if he really wanted to. Yeah. He's
If
just-
I was here to take a picture, you guys know what you were doing, but.
We borrow your camera though.
Yes, sir.
So,
Is it low light?
I have, on the news last night, looked like St. Louis County or somebody was changing the color of their taser gun. Is that
Yellow.
something, to yellow? Is that something that we should look into for something like that?
Let me
Or-
enlighten you to the conversation I just had this morning with Lieutenant Cripps. This was a brand new conversation just this morning. We are changing our policy as to how we carry them. All officers do carry it on their offside now, but some of them carry it across draw,
Mhm.
which allows for the right-handed draw. And I will tell you why I won't change it to yellow yet. To eliminate as much possibility as we can of something like Minnesota happening here, they actually have to draw it like a regular gun with their left hand, okay? Non-dominant side, we're trying to do everything we can to avoid anything like that occurring. It's muscle memory. What happened there, I don't know. Don't ask, I don't want to quarterback anybody. But we're gonna see what happens, because I think you're gonna see a change. And I don't know what it's gonna be yet.
Right.
Switching to yellow, it's all about money. We ever upgrade our tasers to X7s? Maybe so. Because they make them in black and they make them in yellow. So,
I just wondered.
It's
no,
instinct, it's
I
instinct,
totally get your question, thank you.
probably the
Can I
instinctive
ask a
training,
question?
right?
Yes, ma'am?
When an officer pulls a taser, are they looking down to see what they're pulling?
Should be.
I would say it's a
So yellow
situation.
wouldn't matter?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be in the same spot.
No. Your gun is on your right, your taser's on your left.
Well, I'm just saying, if, how.
Unless you're doing it.
You might be.
No, you'll never draw both at the same time. You should have a cover officer that's doing, whatever you've got in your hand, the cover officer should be doing the opposite. If it calls for deadly
But
force.
if they're not looking at it, color doesn't matter then.
Well, but once they
It's
put it
the
out in
instinct.
front of them,
That's
You're
true.
right,
they'll see the
but
color.
it's the instinct of the first move, of what
But
they're
if it's
gonna
quick-
choose to use.
Muscle memory is tremendously important.
So how much do our officers train with their tasers? That's the question I've had through all of
I know that I can pull a taser and I can pull it almost as fast as I can pull a gun and take it to the holster is terrible. I don't wear one all the time. I know where, because that's the reason, I don't ever agree with the cross draw. Because it's too easy, boom, boom. We're gonna make them think, okay, I'm reaching down here, implementing, and if I have to transition to my right hand, okay, I have to do that. It's hard to explain. It's training. Do they shoot it enough?
You mean for practice or out in real?
Well, no, but I mean, that's one of the questions.
Well, I know last month
Training.
when we did do taser training, I think we ended up using 60-some cartridges, which is a lot. And that was just because of the instructor.
Is that a month or every 3 months, every 6 months?
You only have to recertify your taser once a year.
Did you volunteer to get tased?
I've been tased 3 times, I'm not doing it again.
I mean, even your state attorney's on taste, I wouldn't want it.
Yeah, I've been tased 3 times in my lifetime, and I don't want to do it again. Somewhere.
He paid good money for it too, so whatever he said.
We had a sadistic police chief here in Centralia one time that,
Students volunteer move up.
Yeah.
As,
but that's all I've got. Let's,
Good.
sorry, I've got something to say.
as Mayor Ryan, anything else?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
You
Oh,
get something?
I was waiting for you to adjourn.
That's her draw, she's up. So, I have a first and a second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for your help tonight.
Remind me to tell me something.
Greatly appreciate it. I will,